So one of the focuses we like to highlight is the impact on water, especially because in the next several decades, water as a resource, the cost will go up, the price will go up. And so, the cost to our water, both by covering up headwaters, the streams which are headwaters of rivers, also by contaminating water from the coal processing process, and then by injecting coal slurry into underground mines, impacting well water, the costs are enormous when you talk about health issues associated with drinking contaminated water. So when you weigh out health issues versus the benefit of mining the coal, it's not an equal balance, and so that's really what we feel is you can't just take into account the monetary aspects of it. You have to look at all of the implications, and the fact that not only is this impacting the water, it's destroying the aquifer which creates the water. So it's forever impacting the aquifer's ability to function. So that's a forever impact that is arguably not quantifiable. So what is the impact? Immeasurable, honestly. And very quickly, when someone starts blowing up a mountaintop right behind you, it makes your house uninhabitable. All of a sudden, you're dealing with explosions and fly rock. Not only that, but when you ingest this water, you heard Junior talk tonight about the fact that he has health issues internally. One of the major health issues is the buildup of heavy metals in your organs. You can drink a glass or two of contaminated water every year and you may not be impacted, but it's the constant exposure over decades that builds up these heavy metals in your organs and in your systems, and so that's what the impact is that we see. Another very important impact is that it tears families apart, because again, if you want to protect the mountains and the streams and the water, you sometimes are going against your family members, brothers, sisters, uncles, moms, and dads who work for the coal company. So it tears families apart, which ultimately harms community structures, and then goes further than that to bigger societal issues. That's a great question, and that's a place where our foundation really likes to focus on the fact that it's not tree hugger versus miner. It's members of this community who all need the same things versus an industry that is blind to what those needs are and turns a deaf ear to those needs. And so we're acutely aware of the fact that this type of mining takes jobs away from our people. Underground mines employ a lot more people than surface mines do, and so the mechanization process impacts our economics substantially. So we're always considerate of the mining, but again, Keepers is wanting to introduce alternative energies and create a new market and new jobs through those alternative and renewable energies. So we have a long way to go, but we always keep the miners in our minds. None of us do this work to put anyone out of a job. We do this work to protect the resources we all need once those jobs are gone anyway. So. Right now. And this is tough, right? And on Cayford, that's really what we're looking at. What's done is done. That mountain's gone, and it'll never be put back the way it was. What we have to do is decide, what are we going to do with that land now? The fact is that it won't be reclaimed to forest state that it was before. Can we put solar farms on there? Can we grow biofuels on there? Can we herd animals sustainably on there? What is the coal company's plan once the mountains are gone and once the coal is gone? And nobody's really been able to articulate that. The general sense is that we can build more Walmarts, we can build more mini malls, but the reality is that you can't build somewhere where there aren't water resources and infrastructure to support that. So not all of that land will be turned into commercial endeavors, and I think we really have to promote that conversation. What is going to happen after this? I think there are a lot of great alternatives and good opportunities to turn that land into meaningful, useful land, but again, its primary function has been to create clean water, and it could do that forever if we protect it. So. Well, I'm a bit biased when it comes to this. I don't really see any benefit, short-term or long-term, by destroying a permanent piece of our ecology for the short-term monetary gain of a non-renewable resource. I think the benefits are for a very few people, and the impacts, again, it's the privatization of the profits and the socialization of the cost. That's the cost-benefit analysis I see. I do feel as though mountaintop removal and the conversation around it will help other extraction conversations take place, because the mountain is just an example of the permanent loss. And more so, you can't see the permanent loss of a water table underground from fracking, but it happens. So I think mountaintop removal may open up those conversations in other extraction industries and say, we may not be able to see the visual results, but we know the impacts are tremendous. And I think that we do know that alternative means of creating energy exist, and the Cayford Mountain Sustainability Project is a great example, because even in spite of not having the renewable energy there, these folks don't have access to a power grid. So if we never put solar panels up there, they'll never have power. And a lot of isolated communities in Appalachia are like that. They are very remote. They rely on wells or springs for their water. They don't have city municipal water coming in. And so I feel as though, as we move into those renewable and alternative energies, that we'll see access to power grow in reality, where it's not right now. So I think it's not only affordable, but again, the cost-benefit analysis, what is it worth to preserve a mountaintop, ultimately, and to preserve the aquifer? Yeah, and I think I personally feel that the costs are enormous and immeasurable, and the benefits are very short-lived and benefit a very few. And even the miners who work on those mine sites are very often out-of-state, non-union miners. The reason they can destroy the land in that manner is because they have no personal attachment to it. They go home to their families in a different place. And so I think that's also a tactic by the industry to keep the people who are most impacted kind of away from it. But then again, money is a very powerful thing. There aren't many jobs, and so if miners are able to feed their families and support their families from those jobs, that's a definite benefit to the community. That's someone who's not reliant on social services. But then, again, that's a short-term benefit. When you look at the long-term, what are that miner's children going to do? What water are they going to drink? What air are they going to breathe? What mountain are they going to climb? Well, I think that that's a conversation that folks have in our movement, and I feel as though the reality is that the conversation has shifted away from extraction, that we're really trying to focus on what the renewable alternatives are, and that even if there are more cost-effective or less detrimental ways to mine coal, why are we mining coal when the alternatives are out there? And the answer is simple. Someone owns that coal and they want to sell it. So I think that's really when when you break it down, as long as someone's willing to purchase that resource, they're going to mine. So how do we stop the purchase of that resource? We start to decrease demand. We start to pull financing. We start to divest. And so that's why those issues are important to work on, is because if we don't work on those financial aspects, then as long as someone's there to purchase it, they're going to mine it, and we're not going to be able to stop it. I think it's really important to highlight the fact that it's a finite resource, that once it's gone, it's gone. And so once we've mined it all, and what's left behind, that lasts forever. But we've burned the coal that was there, and we've also destroyed permanently destroyed any water creating ability from that aquifer, in our lifetimes anyway. The aquifer will restore itself over millennia. It will take 40, 50, 60,000 years for that to happen, but it will happen eventually. We may not survive that. If we can't drink water, we won't survive. So I think that's really where it comes down to for us, is when you look at a cost and benefit analysis, when you look at long-term impacts, what is the value of living a quality of life in the mountains, and how do you measure that against the extraction? That's a really great point, and the reality is we are seeing fewer miners mining more coal, and costs of electricity going up. So none of the economic arguments make any sense. They say, well, if you take this away, energy prices are going to go up. Well, if you do it, energy prices are going to go up. So I think the other thing about having solar panels on individual cabins is it localizes energy production and consumption. It's not a whole system and grid of consumption. It's one house, one individual, one energy producing mechanism. And so I think that's probably the biggest challenge to the powers that be, energy-wise, is that when you take that power away from them and put it in individuals, it's an imbalance. The power shifts back to the local communities. And so I think that's really why we're focused on that, is to bring those options back and to start making it local and private again.